Get sledgehammer, crush bones, bring blender and food grinder, grind meat. Get bleach, denature proteins. Does not matter where they're killed, just get rid of bloody spots to prevent evidence of time of death. Get rid of bodies inside house, there and my DNA already there. Stay tuned if you want to know more. Joel Guy Jr. He was born on the 13th of March 1988. In 2006, he graduated from the Louisiana School for Math, Science and the Arts. After graduation, he spent one semester at George Washington University, but then attended Louisiana State University, where he wanted to train to become a plastic surgeon. He was a loner who was not interested in having friends or any other meaningful relationships with others, including his family members. The family members were 61-year-old Joel Guy Sr., 55-year-old Lisa, Joel Jr., Shandice, Angela, and Michelle, who were Joel Sr.'s daughters from his first marriage. Joel Guy Sr. was working as a pipeline engineering designer, and his wife Lisa worked as an accounts payable administrator. The three daughters always spoke very highly of Lisa and considered her to be like a second mom for them. Lisa and Joel were happily married and became a child together, who they named Joel Guy Jr. His relationship towards them was somewhat cold and distant. His mom loved him regardless and spent a great amount of her money on him. She paid for his food, his studies, his flat in Louisiana, and basically never hesitated to pay for his needs. He didn't seem to be very thankful for this support though, since he got more and more reclusive while living in Baton Rouge in Louisiana. He had no friends while living there and spent most of his day watching movies or in front of the TV, neglecting his studies and only occasionally attending courses at university. He was considered a strange and unfriendly person by others. At 28, he had never worked and was financially dependent on his parents' support, but this had to stop eventually. After retiring, his parents wouldn't be able to finance his life anymore. They had made remarks about that before, but on Thanksgiving, they finally wanted to tell their son he had to be able to manage his own affairs, and that they would cut him off financially after Thanksgiving. A day he already made preparations for. This was to be the last Thanksgiving in this home that they had in Goldview Lane in Knox County. Lisa and Joel Sr. wanted to use the opportunity to inform their family about their future plans, wanting to sell their home in Knox County to move to Surgoinsville in Tennessee. Joel's mother recently passed away, so her house was empty and ready to be inhabited by Joel and Lisa, who soon was to retire from her job. They were also happily looking forward to the Christmas holidays, which they wanted to spend together, enjoying their life in retirement. All in all, it seemed to be a happy day for everyone, coming together to celebrate good food, eat the traditional turkey, and talk about what happened in their lives, just like a normal family would on this day. Nothing was normal in Joel Jr.'s mind though. Joel Jr. planned on staying the whole weekend and drive back to Baton Rouge on Sunday, which his parents appreciated, since they had to talk to him about his future, especially in regard to his financial situation. The photo you are seeing here was taken at the exact day. Joel Jr. had already been determined at this point to kill his parents. Angela and Candace weren't able to come, so it was just the people present there that you see on the photo. Michelle's boyfriend, and her 3 sons came to spend the day with Lisa, Joel and Joel Jr., who came all the way from Baton Rouge in Louisiana. The week after Thanksgiving was gonna be Lisa's last week of work, but she didn't show up to work on Monday, which was very unusual because according to co-workers, Lisa was very dependable. At work, people were concerned why they got no response from Lisa. They became so worried and had such a weird feeling about it that they called 911 and asked them to send out officers to perform a so-called welfare check. Upon arriving at the house at Goldview Lane in Knox County, officers at first didn't see any signs of disturbance, knocked on the door, nobody answered, and then they left. But one of her working colleagues was not satisfied with that and asked the sheriff's department to check again. An officer went to the front door and knocked, but didn't receive any answer. While looking more closely, he was able to see the inside and noticed groceries that were scattered on the floor in the foyer area, which concerned him. Since no one responded to the knocks, detectives decided to go around the house, climb over the fence to the backyard, and then observed that the doorknob from the back door was missing, which they thought to be strange. They happened to notice that the doorknob on the front door had scratches and didn't seem to fit properly, so they concluded that the doorknob from the back door had been placed on the front door, and so they just felt like something was wrong. The detectives also heard a dog barking on the inside. That's when they felt there was a need to go inside, because they feared there was an emergency situation going on. Furthermore, the police felt heat emitting through the hole where the doorknob was missing and smelled a chemical odor that concerned them. Everything about the situation felt off, and they knew they had to access the home somehow. They checked the cars to see if they were unlocked. They were, and in the cars they found the remote control to open the garage door. When they opened the garage door, there was a blast of heat and an overpowering chemical smell. Being alarmed at the unusual nature of the situation, they cautiously went from room to room to check what was going on. They noticed a heater that was operating at full blast and the thermostat set at maximum. It's very hot in the house. The oven and stove, on which a large cooking pot was boiling, made the heat even more unbearable. Containers with chemicals and bleach, garbage bags, paper towels laying around made for a very chaotic scene. On the dining room table, they found Lisa's and Joel Sr.'s wallets, as well as the car keys, a rifle, and 2 shotguns. They carefully went upstairs, towards the howling and barking dog, while having their service weapons drawn. There were stains of blood on the walls and stairs. One of the detectives spotted a human hand lying in an upright position, and another hand that made a closed fist behind it, at the end of the hallway, in a room that might have served as a fitness room. Later, it was revealed that this pair of hands belonged to Joel Guy Sr. Immediately, they are requesting backup and forensics and in the following hours, their house was turned upside down. An officer from the Knox County Sheriff's Office Forensic Unit went to further inspect the house after it has been made sure that no suspect or other person was in the building. She documented everything with a camera. It is important to note that the pot you are seeing was still cooking and the oven underneath was on. At this time, investigators haven't had a look at the inside of the large cooking pot yet. They'll probably never forget what they saw inside of it. The pot contained Lisa Guy's severed head. At that point, it must have been boiling for around 2 days straight. Due to this boiling, her face detached from her skull and was floating on the surface of the water. What you are seeing here are 2 large tubs filled with liquid and pieces of human remains. The bodies of Joel Guy Sr. and Lisa. Apparently someone had tried to dissolve them in acid. There was plastic sheeting all over the floor, and in the bathroom sink there was a large kitchen knife, presumably the murder weapon. The autopsy of Mr. Guy revealed that his remains had been dismembered. The arms had been removed at the shoulders, the legs had been cut off at the hips. His head was completely skeletonized. There was skin remaining, primarily on the back of his, and the remainder of the skin had been dissolved by chemicals, which made it difficult and complex for the pathologist to examine it. According to the pathologist, 34 sharp force injuries were found on the back of his body, where the skin was relatively intact, but in total it could have been more, but his body was in too bad of a shape for an exact count of stab wounds. But they concluded that he was stabbed from behind, leading to stab wounds ranging to about 6 inches deep. Defensive wounds also indicate that he tried to fend off the attacker. Like Joel, Lisa was also dismembered. Her head was completely severed from her body. Her arms were removed at the shoulders, and her legs were dislocated at the knees. She had been at least stabbed for 25 times, with wounds ranging from 6 to 7 inches deep, injuring her heart, the aorta in her abdomen, both lungs, her kidney, the liver. They concluded that whoever did this conducted the murders with the uttermost brutality, probably driven by hate. Who would have a motive for such a horrible crime? Whoever did this must have harbored a lot of hate for Lisa and Joel Sr. They found a backpack containing a notebook in which Joel Jr. described in detail how he would murder his parents and how he plans to avoid detection. Here are some excerpts from it. In this case, the motive is quite obvious after having read the notebook investigators found in the backpack. It was pure greed. Joel's parents had a life insurance worth around $500,000 and other assets that he wanted to have in his possession. The police's reconstruction of the crime shows that Joel Guy Sr. was murdered first, before Lisa, on the 26th of November. Blood pattern analysis and defensive wounds, as well as torn up blinds, reveal that there had been a fight between father and son. After having killed his father, he cut off his hands while still in the same room. While this happened, Lisa was shopping. Security cameras filmed her at a nearby grocery store. Unsuspecting of the horrible things happening at home and that her husband was killed, she drove back home, opened the front door, deposited the groceries at the foot of the stairs, and subsequently closed the front door. It was at this moment that she was attacked by her own son and stabbed more than 30 times, but the murderer wouldn't have finished yet. After the murders, he cut the bodies into pieces and put them into 2 large plastic tubs that he placed in the master bathroom, which were filled with chemicals to dissolve the bodies. He left his father's hands in the fitness room while carrying his mother's severed head downstairs to the kitchen, where he placed it into a large cooking pot, boiling it. Every heating element in the house he turned on to the max. His idea was that this would speed up the process of dissolving their bodies in the acid solution. His initial plan was to make it seem like his father killed Lisa and eventually committed suicide after that. But his plan shouldn't work out that way. While attacking his father with the knife, he got cuts himself all over his hands, which indicates his father might have managed to take away his knife for a short time. These cuts were so bad, Joel Jr. had to take care of them somehow. Eventually, he went to a nearby Walmart at around 3:25 p.m., where he bought bandages, hydrogen peroxide, and other chemicals in the first aid section. Most of the time, he would use cash and self-checkout for every transaction. Other security camera footages show that Joel Jr. had already been preparing for the murders as early as the 7th of November. He was seen buying chemicals like food-grade hydrogen peroxide and muriatic acid at Ace Hardware in Napoleonsville. 4 years had to pass until this case went on trial. Joel Guy Jr. pleaded not guilty, but filed a motion that he be given the death penalty if convicted. His attorneys weren't able to gather sufficient evidence to prove innocence, nor prove reduced culpability for reasons of insanity. He showed no signs of remorse or emotion, while every detail of his heinous crime has been discussed during the trial. Even the judge made a remark about his detached demeanor in court, saying that Joel came off as being even proud about what he had done to his parents, having no regard for human life at all. The jury concluded he certainly had no mental illness, but an evil and deprived mind, and knew exactly what he was doing, thinking he was smarter than he actually was. So they found him guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder and guilty of abuse of the corpses of his parents. The sentencing was structured in a way that this defendant would not see freedom again. 130 years in total. He will die in prison. Well, I'm honest with you guys, I had to take multiple breaks while doing research on this case. I had to go out in the forest for walks, I had to take hot baths, because I just felt disgusted and stressed. I mean, how can you do such a terrible thing to your own parents, especially parents who supported you all throughout your life, throughout your childhood, your youth, and even into adulthood? It's just beyond me. I can't grasp it. But this just shows that there are people out there who are capable of doing the most terrible things out of very primitive and base motives, which is disgusting, but it's a reality. It's a reality. Well, anyway, thank you guys for watching, and if you liked this video and my channel, please consider subscribing. It would help me a lot. I want this channel to grow, and you subscribing would help me reach this. So, see you in the next video.